A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Marco Roberts, chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum, Marcus Davis, owner of the Breakfast Club restaurant, and Vivian Ho, health economist at Rice University and Baylor College of Medicine. Marco, Marcus, Vivian, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thanks, Craig.
Happy to be here. Good morning.
Panel, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo this week made changes to its dress code policy, along with increased security protocols following fights last weekend on the carnival grounds at NRG Park. As Houston Public Media's Kyle McClanagan reported this week, the rodeo released its updated guest code of conduct Tuesday morning, which included attire requirements the rodeo says are designed to promote a family-friendly environment, along with requiring shirts and footwear, clothing with inappropriate or objectionable material like obscene language or graphics is prohibited, as is excessively torn cloth, visible undergarments, or clothing that simply reveals too much skin. So are visible tattoos bearing the name, insignia, colors, or other affiliation to a criminal street gang. To some, the policy change is common sense. To others, it raises questions about how it will be enforced and how to avoid that enforcement being discriminatory. I'd say time will tell, but this year's rodeo concludes Sunday, so there's not much time to test it out this year anyway. The Houston Rodeo changes its dress code. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Marco Roberts.
Well, I mean, I think it's good. What provoked it was ugly, but I think that this is definitely the right thing to do. Sometimes, as far as the concerns people have regarding the potential for discrimination, I think that's true of any rule or law. I mean, certainly any law can be misapplied. And so the concerns, I think it's, okay that people are raising these concerns, but ultimately, most people looking at the standard of rules that were listed, I didn't see any opposition to it. I thought it was interesting that a lot of the opposition to what was happening and support for the rules was coming from people who themselves said had these concerns, but said, you know what, something had to be done, that this situation had gotten so out of control that there clearly was a need, even if they had these concerns. And I thought I saw some of the pictures, I think my eyes burned after I saw some of the images of the folks that were, some of the outfits. I'd heard about this, I just didn't realize how bad it was when I started seeing some of the photos. But what was interesting to me was that you had young men of all colors expressing that they thought it was too much. And I'm going, that's where young men are saying this is too much, you know it's too much.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Marcus Davis.
Yet to be determined, yet to be seen. I'm a big fan of the Houston Rodeo. As a person who interacts with tourists on a daily basis, weekly basis, annual basis, I have seen how the rodeo has grown into a national attraction, even highlighted on some of the morning national news shows. And so I'm excited about the number of people that have chosen to visit Houston to explore our city and to explore the rodeo. I am concerned about the incident or incidents that occur. I don't know that this is a cure for the incident. A dress code has seldom, when we use never, deterred behavior. To say that clothing dictates violence or nonviolence, I don't know. Having been discriminated against for apparel, I'm uncomfortable with something so subjective. There's a bar on Maine in Alabama called the Alley Cat Bar and Lounge that I opened in 2016 in part because I had been discriminated against several times in Midtown bars and Washington Avenue bars simply because of my apparel. So I'm super sensitive to things that are subjective that laymen and the untrained or even the ill-trained get to determine and get to decide. With all that being said, I want Houston's rodeo to be phenomenal, and I want people to continue to come. And my children, who are bemoaning the fact that this is the first rodeo that they've missed because they didn't come home for spring break, I wouldn't want them participating in something that I get a phone call in the middle of the night saying this happened. So I want it to be safe. I want it to be secure. But I also want to make sure that we're securing the rights of those who want to participate and not be discriminated against.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Vivian.
Well, I think Marco and Marcus have said it all really well. It's good, bad, and ugly all in one. It's good that we're trying to make something family friendly. It's bad in terms of how do we enforce this? And we've got mostly volunteers working at the rodeo, and you can end up with problems in terms of mistakes in judgment. And to me, as a parent, I'm the same thing. You know, I took my son to the rodeo, from the age of 3 until he didn't want to go anymore. He just wasn't as interested. It's kind of different that your kids are still interested. I never encountered, I just can't recall a time, and it was just a few years ago, it's not that long ago, where there was someone that I was looking at, it's like, whoa, I don't want my son seeing how they're dressing. So it's ugly. I'm sad, and because of the pictures and from what I've talked to, the dress was a problem, and it's sad that we've come to that in terms of our city, and I don't really know why.
Well, I will add one thing. I'm going to disagree with one thing that Marcus said, although I can understand. Again, people, there's always that all that adage, right? For my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. People can't always abuse a rule. So we'll have to see how it is employed. I think it's appropriate to be concerned. But I do think that dress codes or the way we dress has an impact on how we behave. It's why we dress up for funerals or weddings, because I think it communicates something. Sometimes we dress to express something, right? And that expression can sometimes be something pretty or beautiful, or it can be aggressive, right? Like some things that tattoos can be aggressive sometimes. So I do think that dress codes can have an impact on behavior, but it can be good or bad. And I think we all agree that we hope that they enforce the law appropriately and equitably, and we'll see how this goes.
Hopefully so.
And I like the way you dressed up for the first day of spring.
Oh, first day of spring. It's actually coming up right now in a few minutes.
You're looking mighty springy today.
Thank you. That's all about spring.
I love it. And again, Marco, I like I said, I do want. I enjoy that the rodeo is a family-friendly place to be, and I enjoy that they want to continue to promote that. I think, everybody gets up and goes to the rodeo, and when you sit down in your chairs, one of the things that you're anxious to see is the mutton busting thing, and so yes, there are times that you want to make sure. We had an incident this week where we had to wonder whether or not this is appropriate attire to come into the family-friendly establishment. So yes, those questions and concerns do come up. But if we're restricting things that incite violence, I mean, we know the number one inciter of violence. We're not going to stop selling alcohol at the rodeo, and that's where therein lies the problem. So, well, not the problem, but therein lies the conflict. I think security is the answer, right? I think how we beef up security, how we become more strategic with making sure that people are safe, I think is a solution.
Panel, Waymo driverless vehicles were back in the spotlight this week. On Tuesday, Houstonian Craig Funny captured on video one of the autonomous cars trying to go the wrong way onto an HOV lane during rush hour traffic downtown. ABC 13 showed the video in which the Waymo vehicle is blocking commuters and also shared other video of several Waymo vehicles stopped near railroad tracks in the 5th Ward on Gregg Street. Neighbors there said that's happening every day and often blocks drivers and other cars from being able to back up and turn around if a train stops. This comes on the heels of a Waymo self-driving car seen stopped on railroad tracks in Austin, and another, as you may recall, which blocked traffic, including an ambulance, during a mass shooting in Austin earlier this month. Waymo problems on Texas roads. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Marcus?
Way more problems.
Yeah, you caught that.
I got way more problems than you do.
This is peculiar, right? Simply because on my drive in, I was behind a Waymo vehicle, and I watched an interaction between. I was curious as to how it was going to interact with the stop sign, as well as the street that it was approaching didn't have the right of way. So I was curious as to how it would stop, how long it would stop. So I've been kind of observing these things. Interestingly, the car who had the right of way stopped and allowed the Waymo car to proceed. I don't know. Maybe it had seen some things that maybe it was curious as well. it's technology, right? There are going to be a lot of glitches. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. We are moving to this thing of driverless cars. I mean, it's here. As a product of the Jetsons cartoon, we've been waiting and wanting this forever. And it's going to have its issues. It's just how long it's going to be before it's worked out. Life safety is the most important thing. So, the less it endangers lives is the greater concern. Glitches, they're going to happen. They're going to come and go.
Second consecutive week that the Jetsons were referenced on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Interesting. Vivian.
Oh, definitely bad. There's another podcast that I listen to that I enjoy a great deal.
Oh, my goodness.
You're cheating on us.
Was.
No, that's okay.
You know what? It's I like it because it is funny and entertaining. Definitely not as informative as NPR. But so one of the hosts is always talking about how she loves Waymo, and that she would never get into a self-driving Tesla, that it's too dangerous. Well, sorry, but these news stories, definitely that's not the case. And before I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll try one of these Waymos out, and I'm like, oh no, because while I like texting on my phone instead of having to pay attention to driving and things like that, I don't want to be a part of, getting involved in getting hit in a car accident or being responsible for other problems, or heaven forbid you're calling a car and it's like, why doesn't it arrive? And it's because it's stuck at train tracks behind, multiple other cars, and they can't do anything about it. So Waymo needs to fix this and need to fix it fast. And it's just so disappointing that they don't have any consideration for the folks whose driveways are getting blocked, things like that. It would be nice if we had enough sheriffs to come out and ticket them, although I don't know how you ticket a driverless car. I don't but clearly there's cost being imposed on people who it's just unfair.
All right, Marco?
Well, I mean, it's a little bad. Not a big. I think I agree with Marcus. It's the way of the future. There's going to be glitches in any new technology. This has happened, with all the new things that have come into our lives. I look at this with a little trepidation, also knowing it's inevitable that we are going into a future of driverless cars. I don't see how we're going to avoid it. Hopefully, I may not be around that longer after that. But my main concern is that it's done safely. In fact, 2 days ago, I saw my first Waymo here in Houston. I was just driving by, and I'm like, "What is that?" And it's a Waymo, and it was just driving right next to me. And I really didn't pay that much attention to it because I was focused on my own driving, right? But I do think it's one of the things that it's going to change about our society is road rage, and I think the road rage is going to be directed at the Waymo. Right. And so we're no longer going to be screaming at other people because we know they're not driving
Marco,
either.
You took the words out of my mouth.
They're going to be going like, why aren't you moving? Why'd you turn left? That's what's going to happen. We're going to be arguing with the Waymo itself. So that'll change. There'll be other changes, I'm sure, the way we design our cities, all these things. Some of them will be for the better, I think. But definitely transformational. We're just seeing the very beginnings of this new world.
Marco, interestingly, you brought up something that I thought about this morning, because as I was driving, because I was curious about the Waymo, I was patient. But had I not been curious, I would have been like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? You got to move around." And then I would have been talking to myself because nobody's in the Waymo. But let's get this out in the open, right? I encounter drivers every day, all day. I mean, meaning people coming in and going to the business. Mm-hmm. And I'm on a one-way street, and I can tell you that there's not a single day that goes by where I do not have a human being turning on the wrong way on a one-way street. Mm-hmm. So what we're concerned about Waymo, we have way more issues with human beings doing the same thing. Like I put that in there.
I enjoyed that. Well placed. Panel, Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare is suing one of its patients who refuses to leave her hospital room even though she was formally discharged 5 months ago. As the AP's Mike Schneider reported Wednesday, the hospital is seeking an injunction to order the patient to leave the room and to authorize the county sheriff's office to assist if needed. The hospital says simply it needs the room back for other patients. According to the suit, the woman was admitted to the hospital for medical treatment and then discharged on October 6th of last year. The hospital then says it repeatedly made efforts to coordinate her departure with family members. But why she's still there and how she was able to remain for 5 months is not public knowledge, and the hospital will not say. The court may have to intervene as a discharged patient simply won't leave the hospital. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Vivian?
Oh, well, certainly ugly. I wish the newspaper article had provided a little bit more detail, because if they want the patient to leave, I mean, are they still providing food to the patient?
Yeah.
If anything, this would be kind of awful, but you could turn off the electricity and water to that room. So there is something that is going on that has not been reported in the story.
For sure. And your mind can run wild with all kinds of possibilities for why this is occurring. But 5 months, that's the part that boggles the mind. Marco?
I'm kind of with Vivian on this. I didn't quite know what to make of this because, again, the story doesn't tell you very much about why she was there, how they managed to stay there. So it's a puzzling. I like to see the end of it, like what's going to happen, and maybe they'll tell us why she's there. But I can't tell if she's doing something heroic or irresponsible, right? Like, there's some real reason why she feels like, no, I shouldn't be discharged. Maybe, I don't know, but because we have no idea what her situation is, what her condition is. I just don't know what to make of this. And I think the hospital, I guess I can't. I just don't know. I don't know what to say about this. I really don't know what's going on.
Good, bad, or ugly, Marcus?
This is ugly, simply because we don't know the details behind it. We don't know what's causing it. But I didn't know that the hospitals. I'm as a landlord, as a person who owns rental property. I didn't know that hospitals had the same problem evicting people as.
Yeah.
I did. Most people don't want to stay.
And I got super curious about whether or not that's the argument that's being used, that like, this is my residence, and you, in order, because you wonder why can't they just tell her to go.
You hear about stories like that out of New York in particular. I think they have certain laws in place,
even in the state of Texas and in Florida, even though some state legislatures have changed them. But yes, you do wonder why the food is still being offered. But I have to say it has something to do with liability. Yeah. You know, the hospital may feel like if we do X, Y, and Z, we may be liable. But two things. Sorry, Marco. Two things. One, I'm curious as to whether she is doing something. Because I've been in a situation where I thought, hey, this is way too early for the hospital to let you go. Right? I've seen that before. But 5 months, no. Yeah. But also, the longer and Vivian can attest to this, the longer you stay in the hospital, the more likely you are to get ill from some other disease. So. That's curious.
Yeah, it's very strange, again, because nobody wants to stay in a hospital. Everybody's anxious to always leave. It's like going to the dentist and not wanting to leave, right? You're like, I want to stay in the chair.
Yeah,
no.
Give me another root canal. Come on.
Yeah, well, a person like that should go to a skilled nursing facility. And so then there's this question of, well, why didn't you transfer her there?
Yeah, there's so many questions on that one. Panel, feeling burned out, stressed, anxious? You're not alone. According to a report released this week by workforce mental health provider Lyra Health, workers say they have more access to mental health care than ever before, but that their mental health is declining anyway. The 2026 State of Workforce Mental Health Report includes a survey of 7,500 employees across 6 countries. More than 1 in 3 classify themselves as merely surviving. More than 1 in 4 report mental health decline in the past year. And it's not just worker bees. More than half of all managers surveyed say being in charge has negatively affected their mental health. Respondents cite, among other factors, caregiving strain, limited access to timely neurodivergent informed care, and the incorporation of AI tools in the workplace, improving productivity but also adding stress. Like a teepee next to a yurt, workers are too tense. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Marco?
Just awful. I think that's the first thing that's really ugly is that pun. So start with that. But, I really take this study with a huge cube of salt because it sounds very much a proportional effort from the company because it relates so much to the products that they're providing. The other thing about the study that I didn't care for very much is that it's always these surveys, when they're self-reporting surveys, they're not particularly reliable because they're subjective, and you're asking people to respond about themselves. But this whole question about, so we're providing, it's a little bit like Starbucks saying, we've been providing coffee and we're finding it's not enough coffee. It's like, but we provide coffee. So I'm not sure what's going on with this thing. I think it's interesting though to talk about what causes people to feel better about their lives, right? And one of the things that's interesting is, did you know that Greenland, I looked this up, has the highest suicide rate in the whole world?
Where?
I didn't realize that. And
Wow.
I figured
No,
maybe that's
where
why
is it?
Trump's trying to help
Greenland.
them out.
Oh, wow.
Greenland, more than 3 times the next country on the list.
Wow.
It's huge. But then you look at the list of countries where, happiness index that they have out there that came out just actually a couple of days ago. There was a report on this. And you realize that Western countries tend to be well represented, but not exclusively. A lot of third world countries are also up on that list. Lowest suicide rates are among Arab countries. Interesting. And so I think that a lot of what makes you feel good about life is community. That's the thing. Not so much. I don't know that healthcare accessibility. Well,
Forgive me for interrupting, but I agree with you about the community thing, and that includes the other 2 in this room. And we've only got about a minute and a half left, so I'm going to go to them now. Marcus, quickly.
I think that this is speculative, right, and subjective. I think when you ask people, these types of questions, you get these types of answers. And I want to make sure we separate this from this. This is their life experience. It's not. It doesn't sound like it's job related. And I think a lot of what we experience as human beings has something to do with your workplace, but I also think it has to do with where we are as a society
And maybe what we bring to work.
Yeah,
There's that too.
exactly.
Vivian?
Yeah, I think this report was self-serving, and I've been spending a lot of time looking at these different vendors who try and sell these additional products to employers who want to help their employees and make life better for them. And I've discovered the more and more I look at them, there is just almost no valid evidence that these interventions work. Mental health is extremely important. If delivered right, there are people who need it, and there needs to be access. But this is just more marketing, and it costs employers more money, and it's not clear to me that it actually helps the employees.
Well, I certainly hope that discussing this has helped, at the very least, to reduce stress in your lives.
I feel better already.
I feel pretty good about how this all went down. Marco Roberts is chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum. Marcus Davis owns the Breakfast Club restaurant. Vivian Ho is a health economist with Rice University and Baylor College of Medicine. Marcus, Vivian, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Greg.